Hey guys, how's it going? This is Austin Dennis. It's been a while since I posted on this channel, but I have been busy. And the last time I think I posted a video was after I passed my Network Plus exam, and I talked about going through that and the different things I experienced that day. It was kind of a weird day. But since then, I've been really busy. In terms of college and certifications, I've completed probably like 50% more of the degree since then, on pace to finish sometime around either the end of this month or in the middle of August. I'll see which one it is. Just depends on how much I'm able to get done and how hard I'm able to work. But since then, I've obtained my Security Plus certification, my ITIL 4 Foundation certification, my LPI Linux Essential certification, my Project Plus certification, and I just 2 days ago obtained my CYSA or CISA Plus certification from CompTIA. The only certification I have left in my degree is Pen Test Plus. So I've been moving along really quickly, and I just wanted to make this video today just to talk about what to do to set yourself up best for success when you're actually sitting down and taking the certification exams. So, a lot of times you may have heard me talk about basically just preparation material, especially if you followed us over on Full Send Cyber, the podcast that we do over there. We talk a lot about just the preparation that goes into it, what types of study materials you should be using, how often you should be studying, what you should be doing while you're studying and learning the things. And just briefly, I think that it's important when you're studying for a certification exam that you're not trying to learn trivia and become a trivia master. You need to be learning the concepts and understanding how to actually apply them into what you're doing, rather than just trying to memorize a bunch of answers to questions or know that when you hear this phrase, the answer is this. You need to learn the concepts. And when you understand the concepts and understand what you're supposed to be answering or what the goal is of the question that you're answering, you'll have a lot more success. But aside from that, I wanted to make a video for CompTIA specifically because I know a lot of people, when they're first trying to break into IT, it's really important. A lot of people want to get their CompTIA trifecta. You want to get your A plus, Network plus, and Security plus, and hope that in a very competitive job market like we're in today, that you can just at least land your first IT role in general. IT is nice because it's a lot more of a certification based field. You don't necessarily need a degree in it. And really, you don't necessarily even need certifications depending on what you do or who you know. But a lot of people, including myself, are getting into this industry or have gotten into this industry using certifications, namely CompTIA's A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus. Now, these exams are a little bit different than other exams that you might go through. If you've never taken a CompTIA exam, basically there's three different types of questions that you're going to be asked on the exam. Your standard multiple choice for some of them. Some of them are going to be select multiple answers. So you'll be given, somewhere between 4 or maybe 6 or 7 different choices for a question. And then you're going to select 2 or 3 answers instead of just one. And then there's also the performance-based questions. And these can be anything. It can be typing in a command prompt, or it can be selecting certain pictures or drag and drop of different types of things. And when you're doing these exams, one of the best advice that you'll get is basically to wait to answer the performance-based questions until the end of the exam. The thing is, when you log on to take the exam, the first, 1 to, 4 or maybe even 5 questions that you're going to get are going to be these performance-based questions. And you'll obviously be able to tell the difference when you're looking at them because there's going to be a bunch of pictures and graphics and multiple places you can click on the screen to perform some type of a task or something. Skip those questions. The nice thing about CompTIA compared to another certification body like ISC Squared, in ISC Squared, when you see a question, you don't have the option to skip it. And if you answer the question and you move on to the next question, you feel like you got that one wrong and you'd like to change an answer, that's too late. As soon as you move on to the next question in ISC Squared exam, you're done. You can't go back and do that. CompTIA allows you to move anywhere during the test anytime that you want to do. So you can skip the first 4 or 5 questions that you get, which are the performance-based questions, and then go back to those at the end of the exam. One of the advantages to that is just the time. All of these exams, they're time crunched, and I think the main reason that people want you to do that is so that when you get to the end, you don't want to waste so much time on the performance-based questions that you don't get to answer hardly any multiple choice questions because you took so much time trying to figure these out. The other advantage to doing this, though, that I don't know how much it gets talked about, is that as you're going through the exam, you might just become more familiarized with the types of terms that you're going to be listening to, or the types of questions that you might be asked. Me personally, I don't even look at the performance based questions. Some people, you might glance over them and just kind of see what they're asking and then look for hints for that throughout the exam while you're going through, just in the way that a question's asked or the answer to a question. But me personally, I don't even look at it because I don't want to think about it. I'll save that until the very end. But sometimes when you're going through the exam, you might end up picking up hints. So maybe if it works better for you to take some time to review over those or look at them, you can. But the important thing about the performance-based questions is that they're weighted a lot heavier than the multiple choice questions are. So, if you get a performance-based question wrong, it's going to hurt you a lot more than if you just miss one or two multiple choice questions. They're not going to be equivalent there. The more performance-based questions that you get right, the better off that you'll be. But so when you're actually taking the test and when you're going through the multiple choice questions, there's a couple different options that you have. Say that you get to a question you don't really understand what you're doing. Just a common test taking practice. I don't know if you've heard this or not. I feel like it's just kind of common sense, but some people don't think about this type of stuff. When you get to a question, if you don't know what the answer is, try to think about it from the opposite perspective. So basically look at the answers and relate those back to the question. Rather than reading the question and just trying to figure out what the answer is, look at the answers of the question and try to ask yourself, does this fit in with this at all? Because sometimes there might just be a red herring that's there that's trying to distract you from the answer and it just has nothing to do with it at all. Well, if you got 4 different choices there and you can eliminate one or maybe even 2 of them and just narrow it down to 2, then instead of having a 25% chance if you're just randomly guessing or getting it right, then you're narrowing that down to a 50% chance if you're able to eliminate 2 of those. And that's a whole lot better than 1. And the thing is, these exams, especially when you start getting into like Security Plus and CISA Plus and Pen Test Plus, they require a lot higher of a score than maybe like your A plus Core 1 that only requires a 675 out of 900 in order to pass that exam. So every point counts on these exams, especially when you start getting into Security Plus and above, where everything needs to be at least a 750 or above in order to pass that certification. So think about these things. When you go into the exam, don't try to stress yourself out. Don't try to think about anything. But while you're going through it, be reading each question carefully. If you don't understand it, take the time to just sit back, read through it again, try to eliminate a couple of questions that, eliminate a couple answers that might not make sense before making your just random guess selection that you don't have too much of an idea. And if you don't know something, just move past it, as quick as you can. Try to just do these out because these exams are tiny. You don't have all the time in the world to take 20 minutes to find the answer to one multiple choice question. But another thing that I, recently started doing when I'm taking exams, for me, I don't really know how the breaks work for CompTIA exams when you're taking them from home because I don't go to a test center for CompTIA exams. You have the ability to take it from home. I'm more comfortable taking it at home. I don't want to have to, take the time to drive like 45 minutes away to go take an exam. I'm able to do it on my own time, my own schedule, whenever I want. So I like doing it from home better. One thing that I think is a good thing to do, for me personally, if I'm sitting down and I'm taking a test, and sometimes it can just be zoning out, and I'll be thinking of a question and I'll be reading a very simple question and I just can't even think of the right answer because my brain is just exhausted. When you're doing a lot of different certifications, you've got a lot of different things going on. Your mind can sometimes be in point H and you need it to be in point J at that point in time. You're just, all mixed up. For me, I would literally, if I ever felt like I'm just losing track of things, I'm just not focused, I just take a second and literally just stare at a blank piece on my monitor or just stare like around the camera so the proctor didn't think I'm like cheating or anything like that. but just think about nothing, and just as much as you can, just completely take your mind off the fact that you're in the middle of taking an exam. Completely take your mind off the fact of anything that you're doing. And these don't have to be long breaks, but literally just like a 30-second reset. Just you start feeling like you're not really understanding it, or maybe you read a question, you're just like, I have no idea what that is. Maybe your mind's just tired and you need to just take a second to reset. For me, I did that multiple times when I was taking my CYSA exam a couple days ago. And I would get to a question, I would read it and just think, I have no idea what I'm looking at right now. And it's just like, maybe I'm just kind of exhausted, maybe I'm not paying attention. And it would just be, look at a blank part of my screen, look at the layer around it, so I'm not just staring into some LED screen. But just look at something else. Don't even think about the exam. Don't even think about anything. Just take a couple deep breaths, just move on, and then get back in and go to it. And every single time I did that, if I felt like I didn't know it before I did that, I knew it as soon as I got back, and it was just a second that I needed a break. So use all the time that you can. It'd be a shame if you did the exam, you left like an hour and 15 minutes on the clock, and then you didn't pass, or you missed it just by a little bit. That if you would have taken these breaks, mine would have had a second to reset, move on. You pay for the voucher, you pay for the full exam time, and they give you all that time for a reason. There's no special prize for doing it faster. There's no special prize for, getting 900 out of 900 compared to 750 out of 900. If 750 is all it takes, you get the same certification either way. You don't get the satisfaction of bragging to everybody that you didn't miss a single question, but at the end of the day, your employer's not going to care that you didn't miss a single question on a certification exam. They care that you had the certification, if that's something that they value. And so the last thing that I would really say is just to not stress too much about these tests, not to, put so much pressure on yourself. I don't think that they are as difficult as they seem. And you eventually can just kind of get yourself into a rhythm, with the certification body that you're doing. You can learn the types of questions that they're going to ask and the way that they phrase things. For example, I recently took and passed my SSCP certification from ISC Squared. Before I did that, about 2 months before it, I went and I just passed their free, 1 million certified in cybersecurity exam that they were giving away, a $200 voucher for this exam for free. And I knew going into that exam that I knew all the information that was going to be required to pass. I didn't need to study for it at all. But it was basically just, hey, I want to get a simulated version of what this exam is going to be like. Just because I know that it asks questions a little bit differently. Some people think that ISC Squared asks questions a little bit more complicated or in different ways. I really don't see that myself, but I will say they ask them differently than CompTIA. I think CompTIA is more guilty of asking questions in kind of a weird way, or dragging your attention away from where it needs to be. But, everybody has their own different opinions on that kind of stuff. But, I think about those things. And basically, I took the CC exam, not because I felt like it was going to be extraordinarily valuable to me, but I thought that it would be much more useful for me to get that certification just to prepare me and know how it was going to be. So, these things are good to do. That's why, if you're trying to get into cybersecurity or you're trying to just get into IT in general, there might be certain certifications you feel like you can skip, like A+, for example. And you might think that the A+ knowledge is just useless and not valuable, and it can be expensive, to pay for both of those exams. I think it's over $500 total you're going to have to pay just to get A+, which is really just a help desk level certification. And sometimes even then help desk employers don't care whether you have that certification or not. So it can seem like a waste of money. Maybe just go for IT foundations, which is just a step below that. And just to get the experience and the feeling of what a CompTIA exam is. Because I can tell you when I open up a CompTIA exam at this point, having done like 6 separate certification exams for them so far, I'm not surprised by anything. I know how the test is formatted. I know the way that the screen is going to look. I know the way that the performance-based questions you interact with them. And when you get more comfortable with these and you get more familiar with these, that can make the difference of saving you some points on exam day, which might make the difference between getting the certification or not. So I hope that these tips were kind of helpful for you. I hope I was able to break it down in a way that people, even if you've never taken a CompTIA exam before, that you might understand a little bit better. I'm open, to conversations pretty much anytime. I love helping people. I love talking to people. I love seeing people succeed and get these certifications. And I really want you to understand they're not as difficult as they seem. I'm going to put a couple links in the description of this video to some specific podcasts that I've done over on Full Send Cyber, talking about these types of things and getting your mindset right and studying right for it. And, I hope that you're able to get these exams. I hope you're able to pass these exams and add them to your resume and make yourself just look that much better to your future employer. That might help you stick out a little bit better in the eyes of your next employer. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you're not already. Share this video if you thought it was helpful, like it, and stick around. I'm going to try to put a lot more content out on this channel now. There should be a video dropping later this week talking about some exciting upcoming things. So thank you guys for sticking around with me, even though I don't post very much. I hope that in the future I'll be doing that a lot more here and over on our podcast at Full Send Cyber. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope to see you next time.